Okay. So welcome to yet another episode of Dekho Apna Desh. This is our endeavor, the endeavor of Ministry of Tourism and the all related with Ministry of Tourism, or you can say travel trade fraternity to bring a news, or you can say the less visited places to explore much more and know much more about this, and to let the people of India and even the world to explore much about these lesser visited places. So today we have a historical site that is Mandu. So Mandu is you can say a old city, but a small city in Madhya Pradesh, and this is having a very historical importance of around 1200 years old dynasty, and this is the most important cities in medieval era and situated in the central India, and this has many natural sites like mountain ranges and other things. So historically, because of the dynasty of 12 years old, this has become a very historical. Now we will know much about the forts and the other things and how it is surrounded by the natural beauty. So to have this episode, we have the expert of this area, Mr. Ajay Singh, who is a regional level guide approved by Ministry of Tourism, and he is having 12 years of experience in guiding. And just while talking to him, I came to know that he is an MBA and he is a full-time guide. This gives us inspiration that how tourism is taking the shape of the experts, how the people who has a very good knowledge in other field also joining tourism as a full-time profession. So we need such people, and we certainly like to learn from these people. So Ajay Singh is very expert and very enthusiastic guide, and he will tell about much about the Mandu city and the history of this. But still we have the president of Guide Association, Dr. Ajay Singh. I will request him to say something about this.
Thank you, Suman sir. Thanks a lot to give us chance, and thanks to the ministry that they are coming with this beautiful webinar series. Dekho apna desh webinar, and it's gave a big impact. If you see the domestic tourism, it is booming. Many places now the travel agent they are hanging a board that we are full. Please knock our door after July, after August. Like this, what is going on? It was our dream. It was the dream of the Ministry of Tourism and Madam Rupinder Brar, ma'am, who started, this kind of the vision that 75 destinations with tour guide, Dekho Apna Desh webinar with experts, with the excellent guides. So this is a wonderful series. And as you mentioned, sir, we have many talented experts in this area. We have more than 2 dozen PhD holders. They are our incredible India tour guides. 80% they are postgraduate. We have law graduate. 10% our the guides they are MBA. So like that we have a bunch of intellectuals, and in the world nowhere you can find such kind of the literacy and education level or the educational expert in this area. So in tourism, especially in India, we are taking it seriously, and the bunch of the people, educated people, qualified people, they are joining tour guide job or tourism industry as experts and as their career. This is a very good. So in this series today, we have Ajay Singh. He lives in Bhopal, and now he is IITG, but before that he was RLG from Western region. And one thing I want to tell you, especially in Madhya Pradesh, and even in Madhya Pradesh, if you go to the Bhopal, Indore, in this area, Gwalior, Oh my God! If you are not taking guide Ajay Singh, so you are missing a lot. He is really expert in that particular area. He, I can, say it very clearly that he's like a professor in that part. So today we are lucky that we have Ajay Singh with us, who is going to present this beautiful webinar on Mandu. So stage is your Ajay. Come forward.
Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Suman sir, and thank you, Dr. Ajay Singh ji, that you are praising me a lot. I'm on a cloud nine right now, and yes, this is a great opportunity which I received from the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, and I am again here on a webinar live, especially my last webinar. It was on a Bimbetka, which was quite nice. People praised me a lot, so I'm here again with another series. I today I'm representing Madhya Pradesh again, which is the city called Mandu. This series, which is called 75 Destination with a Tour Guide. So I would like to tell you about myself a little bit, very quick. This is Ajay Singh Chauhan from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. I am an RLG, but very proudly announce that I am right now Incredible India Tour Guide, which is IITG. And the platform gave me an opportunity to represent my state as well as my country. So I welcome you all and thank you so much everyone again for joining me here. Today I'm going to talk about Mandu. Usually Mandu, it comes under the many of different chapters in the history of India. Basically, Mandu, it's situated in the Vindhyachal mountain range, that is called the Malwa plateau, uh, which is about 100 kilometers from Indore, which is one of the popular town or the city in Madhya Pradesh. And this city is situated in the Dhar district, which is Dhar is almost like 35 kilometers from Mandu. So when we talk about Mandu, can you see the picture on screen? The Mandu, the city of love and loss. Uh, it gives me an idea about the whole concept of the history of this place. Usually, people talk about a lot about Fatehpur Sikri, but Mandu it's also an incredible city, which is you can say a city of architecture or a kind of a school of architecture. I would like to show you some of the picture in this presentation, and you will love to see, and you will stunned to see that this Mandu actually. I would like to show you certain images while representing the city. Mandu, it's a town which is situated on the hilltop. From three side, a sloping hill, and one side is approachable place, which is 35 kilometers from Dhar. Mandu had a various name in the past. The first name came into the existence in the history of India by one of the inscription. As you can see on my screen, Mandapa Durg. In the 6th century AD, one of the inscription founded near around Mandu mentioned that it was a flourished town with hundreds of temples and small palaces, and a very fine Parshvanatha temple was situated there. This was in the time of 6th century AD. So basically, when you talk about Madhya Pradesh and Mandu, in Madhya Pradesh we have several cities which are right now popular cities, but some are not. But in the ancient time, the city in Madhya Pradesh, which is on those days known as central part of India, like Gwalior, Chanderi, Mandu, Ujjain, Maheshwar, and Burhanpur. This was very important cities, which was completely situated on the trade route. And on this trade route, this all the places comes from the northern trade route toward the south route, and these cities were very, very important. So Mandapa Durga was the first name of this city, which was founded in one of the inscription. After that, Mandavgarh was the name came into the existence between the 8th century to 12th century AD. During the 8th to 12th century AD, in India, there were many of different dynasties were ruling, like Chandelas in the Khajuraho or the Bundelkhand region. Kalchuris, it was in the Tripura region, which is right now Jabalpur. Also, other dynasties in different various places like Gujarat and Rajasthan. Mandu was one of a prominent town in the period of Parmar dynasty. But Mandu goes on to the zenith in between 10th and 11th century AD by the Raja Bhoj, one of the legendary king of Parmar dynasty. Usually people know his name because of one of the special line which people always say in Hindi, Kaha Raja Bhoj, Kaha Gangu Teli. So this Raja Bhoj name came into the existence by the different phases and the concept or the part of the history. The concept come of Mandavgarh because of the Raja Bhoj. Earlier, Parmar kingdom was situated in Ujjain. The capital was there. It was the capital of Malwa. But after that, Raja Bhoj shifted his capital to Mandu, especially the Dhar, which is only very near around Mandu. And this Dhar, which was known as Dhara Nagari, situated on the flat land. So, due to protection point of view and you can say natural protection, they shifted their capital to the Dhar and Dhar to Mandu. And Mandu was one of a very prominent place situated on the hilltop, more than around 650 meters from sea level. It was a proper, you can say, a preserved or a secure place from the enemies. And Mandavgarh was actually the name on those days. Raja Bhoj and their family, which means the Parmar dynasty, built many of lakes and water step well near around the area in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Gujarat. According to the historians, they said more than 400 lakes, water tanks, reservoirs, and step wells were built in this region by the Parmar kingdom. One of the very popular historical story says that the fight between, or you can say a battle between Ala Udal and the Parmar king was exist in 10th and 11th century AD. At the same time, Ajmer was under the Prithviraj Chauhan, and it was also Delhi at that time. It was comes under the Prithviraj Chauhan. So Ala Udal came. They turned their attire and they entered in Mandavgarh on those days. They visited the whole city, find out the access point and from the for the enter in the town, and they succeeded the battle. They killed the king and they chopped out his head and they moved back to Mahova. This was one of the story of Mandu or the Mandavgarh. But later on, when we talk about Mandu or the Sadiaba, the city of joy, you can say another name, it came into the existence in the period of Sultanate time. So when we talk about Sultanate time, you will definitely know about the Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji attacked on Malwa. He conquered the Mandu, or which is called the Mandavgarh, and he actually established his kingdom there. He appointed his one of the minister as a governor of Malwa, and he moved back to Delhi. So when we talk about the Mandu Fort, from 11th century AD to 16th century AD, Mandu was one of the very important and one of the largest city in the world, which was known as a fortified city. So as you can see the picture on a screen, this is a map of a Mandu fort. You can see the red line. This is the city wall. People are shocked to hear that the city wall of Mandu, which is more than 37-kilometer large, or you can say a big, which is covered the whole town, having 12 different gates on those days, and hundreds of palaces, mosques, temples, and water tanks you can see in this Mandu fort. Even though in the map you can see the numbers, which I'm going to show you the list of the monument in Mandu. Right now in Mandu we have 48 ASI registered monument or ASI protected monument, which you can see on a screen. And rest are, there are many of miscellaneous scattered monuments all around in Mandu, which is called the ruins of Mandu. Exactly when Sultanate dynasty or the Sultanate period was started in Malwa, Alauddin Khilji was the first man who actually captured the Malwa region, and he moved back. After that, after the Alauddin Khilji, Mandu was also actually captured or took rule by the different other sultans from the west, which is Gujarat, also from the north, from Delhi. But very interesting story about Mandu says always that Mandu was captured after the Alauddin Khilji by the Temur Lang, and Temur appointed his one of a Afghan soldier, or you can say a Subedar in Malwa. His name was Dilawar Khan Gauri. So Dilawar Khan Gauri was the first Sultan, or you can say independent Sultan from Malwa region, who actually converted the city from Mandu to Mandavgarh to Mandu. And Dilawar Khan Gauri was the man who actually built a first mosque in the Mandu Fort, which you can see the picture. This mosque is called Dilawar Khan Ki Masjid, or the mosque, which was you can say, as you can see the picture, you can see a very typical Hindu style of pillars, and it was a conversion, you can say. He converted this place, and this small structure was became a mosque, which was converted mosque. Dilawar Khan Gauri was the first man in 1400 AD, which is the 15th century AD. After that, he was passed away, and his successor, Hoshang Shah Gauri, was the man who ruled in Mandu, and he built so many beautiful buildings, which I'm going to show you and I will represent you. After his death, Mandu came again under the hands of Khilji dynasty, which is the same Khilji dynasty from Delhi. And Muhammad Khilji was the first ruler from the Khilji dynasty. As you talk about Mandu city, Muhammad Khilji was the first man who actually started his kingdom in Mandu. When he started his kingdom, he built so many buildings. He also enlarged the city, and he also built so many gates. So as you can see on a screen, these are some fine gates which is still exist in Mandu. At the left corner top, you can see that is called Alamgir Darwaza. The second picture in the screen, which is called the Gadi Darwaza. The third picture at the left hand side corner, which is the Delhi Darwaza, and last one is the Songad Darwaza, which is the fort of Songad. These are the fine gates which you can still see in Mandu. Uh, Now, this picture gives you an idea about the architecture, the finest architecture which was actually developed a lot in the Malwa region. The picture on a screen, it's called the Jahaj Mahal, the ship palace. Jahaj Mahal is one of the finest palace in Mandu. Actually, Mandu is popularly known for its palaces, which is the Jahaj Mahal, and certain other thing like the love story of Rani Rukmati and Baj Bahadur. Also, the special tree which I'm going to show you, which is called the Baobab. So, basically, after Muhammad Khilji, his son, whose name was Gyasuddin Khilji, Ghiyasuddin Khilji was one of the legendary king belongs to the Malwa Sultanate. This man, he built several buildings in the main campus in Mandu. So when we talk about the monuments in Mandu, Mandu is divided into the several section like Khajuraho temples. When we talk about like a eastern group of temples or the western group of temples or the southern group of temple, Mandu is also divided into the certain group of temples, which you can see on a screen, the Royal Enclave group of monument, which is a campus having multiple palaces in one campus, and the lakes or also the stepwells. Mandu village group of monument have many of other palaces, building and the mosques. Rewa Kund group of monument, it's actually a water tank which is represent the Narmada River, and there are certain monuments like Rani Rukmati Pavilion and the Baj Bahadur Palace. Darya Khan group of monument, it's a group of monument which has certain palaces, mosque, and the Darya Khan's tomb. These miscellaneous monuments scattered around the Mandu, it's all these small ruins which you can see in Mandu once you drive around, and the ancient monument which is called the Budi Mandu, as like Chanderi also. And Chanderi is also divided into the two parts, like Budi Chanderi and the actual Chanderi. Similarly, Mandu is also divided into the two different sections, which right now we can see the actual Mandu city, but it is about 10 kilometers away from the main city. All the ancient temple ruins you can find it there, and other things which was actually built in the during the Hindu kingdoms like Parmars or the others. So this is the list of Mandu monuments, the gates, and yes, the Jahaj Mahal. So Jahaj Mahal, situated between the two different lakes, which is called Munj Talav and the Kapur Talav, the lake called Kapur Lake or the Munj Lake. The building, it's about 7 stories building, having a different type of all the different type of architecture like Hindu style, the Islamic style, the Persian style you can see, or typically Afghan style. Also, an influence of the Mughal architecture you can see. The water of the lake of Munj Talao touch the walls of the palace, and it gives you a feel, or you are sitting or you're standing on the ship. This building was constructed by Hosang Shah Gori. Later on, it was developed by Muhammad Khilji, but Ghiyasuddin Khilji was one of the men who actually completed this building and the whole campus. One of a very popular story of Ghiyasuddin Khilji lies in the Mandu Fort, that this man, he actually built the whole campus only for the women. It was a harem with thousands of women. He was very much inspired by the Lord Krishna, and he actually kept many of women in the palace, in this palace campus. According to some of the folklore stories, said there was 15,000 women living in this beautiful campus, which was like a Taveli Mahal. You will see Hindola Palace. You will see Nahar Jharoka is there. Royal Enclave is there. Champa Baudi, also Jal Mahal, which is the water palace, is there. But this history chapter, when we talk about the Ghiyasuddin Khilji, he actually never gave permission to enter any other man in the palace premises or in the campus. But there was a one man who came from Gujarat. His name was Gada Shah. He was the only man whom the Ghiyasuddin trust him a lot. And that time he actually gave him a small palace, which is called the Gada Shah Palace, in the same campus. He lives with the royal family. Also, Ghiyasuddin Khilji built many other palaces, which you can see in the picture. This is the front view and the rear side of the view of Jahaz Mahal, which is Munj Talav at the left hand side and the Kapur Talav at the right hand side. Also, small Bavdi, and you can see the Hammam, a picture of Hammam. Mandu, it's a place where you can see thousands of buildings. And with this, all the buildings, you will see a fabulous hammams, which still exist, and the step wells. So you can imagine that situated on the hilltop, these different dynasties built many of lakes, water tanks, ponds, just to alight the city. And a very interesting fact about Mandu that many of historians, architects, uh, archaeologists, and many other people visited this town, and they said Mandu was one of the fabulous town for the running water facility from last almost 1200 years, which I'm going to show you again another picture, and you will see the water channel system, how it was operated on those days. So after that, this is one of the beautiful palace in Mandu, which is called Hindula Mahal. On a screen, you will see also swinging palace. This building is a typically Afghan architecture building with a sloping wall. There are few buildings in India which has no dimension, or you can say the structure underground which support the whole building. This is a very fine building, just standing on the ground, like the Hawa Mahal in Jaipur, temple number 18 in Sanchi Stupa, which looks like a typically European temple. This building again here, you can see Hindula Mahal. Hindula Mahal was actually a palace, or you can say a private court of Ghiyasuddin Khilji, but it was also used by the royal family's women for the swinging. This is the one of the picture of Hindula Mahal. I would like to show you another picture of Hindula Mahal. You can see the inner view and the beautiful arches of the Hindula Mahal. In the monsoon time, and also later on, the women were using this palace for the swinging. They were singing the song. They were using this palace for play also. So this is one of the beautiful building you can see on a screen. uh, this palace, which is called the Taveli Mahal, it was like a, you can say, stable, or the tabela, what we call it. But one of the story of the Taveli Mahal always speaks about that right now Taveli Mahal, it's an archaeological museum which has so many inscriptions, statues, and other ruins they collected from the Mandu area. In 1942, or between 1947, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, who was visiting the country and writing a book, it was known as The Discovery of India. He visited Mandu. There was no place to stay for him. That time, Taveli Mahal was converted into a rest house, and uh, Jawaharlal Nehru stayed here one of a night in Mandu. So this building, it's also a part of a same campus of the Royal Enclave group of monument. This picture, it's called the Jal Mahal. As you can see, this palace is situated in the actually the lake area. Mandu itself is very popular for the architecture and the ponds. This only palace has eight water tanks or kind of a water ponds, which gives you an idea about the swimming pool concept. And according to one of the story, says that Jahangir loved this palace, and he spent almost 7 months in Mandu, staying in this palace, which is called the Jal Mahal. So another picture I would like to show you. This is the royal campus, where the many of ponds and multiple rooms are there. Mandu, it's also known as an underground city, where right now, once you visit Mandu, you will see three floors of the whole city. It is underground, and the four floors of the building it's outside, which you can easily visit. But still, in the royal campus and the other buildings, there are some access point where you can go inside and visit the underground part of the palaces, which gives you an idea about the whole city. Mandu, it's known as also the Kashmir of Madhya Pradesh. In monsoon, the place looks like a heaven, but in the summer, it's terribly hot, which is called the scorching hot. So on those days, these royal families built superbly fine palaces according to the weather condition, and all the royal family member goes under the underground levels in the summers, and especially in the monsoon and winter they stayed on the upper floors. So this is one of the concept of Mandu they describe. Now this is the water channel system, or which is called the Rahat system or Persian wheel system, established in the Mandu fort. The whole city was well connected and by the water channel systems, and the whole city palaces like mosques, temples, palaces, other buildings were completely attached with the water facility, 24/7 running water facility available on those days. So this is one of the example you can see on a screen. uh, Now, when we talk about the Mandu, there are other monuments. This is the village group of monument. This building called Ashrafi Mahal. Now, the history of this building goes back to 11th century AD. According to some of the historians, and the story says that this building earlier were known as a school where the Sanskrit language was teach in the period of Raja Bhoj, because one of the place in Dhar city, which is called the Bhojshala, was a Sanskrit school and the Saraswati temple, which is right now a very controversial monument or a building. But Mandu was also under the Parmar capital or Parmar kingdom. This building was also was built by the Parmar, but later on, Muhammad Khilji built a seven-storied building on the top of the same foundation. The story of the Victory Palace, or you can say Ashrafi Mahal, seven-story tower, related to the Kumbhalgarh Tower, the Chittorgarh Tower, which is called the Kirti Stambha. Muhammad Khilji and Rana Kumbha had a battle in the 15th century AD. That time, both of the kings celebrated their victory in their kingdoms. So, Rana Kumbha built Kirti Stambha in Chittorgarh. At the same time, Muhammad Khilji was also celebrated his victory, and he built a seven-storied building in Mandu, which is called the Victory Palace or the Ashrafi Mahal. One of a very popular story of Ashrafi Mahal, it's in Mandu. Once you go and hear from the local guides or the other people, they said Ashrafi means the coins on those days. It was very popular in on those dynasties, and there was a woman called a queen. She was quite fat, so the king put several asarfis on the steps for the lady to collect while doing her exercise. and she goes up to the seventh floor and come back every day back. And the same amount of Asharfis was donated to the city just to reduce her weight, which is a kind of, you can say, a funny story, but there is no written evidence found. But this is a story in Ashrafi Mahal. They found it. Muhammad Khilji is buried in the same palace, which you can see right now. Just the gate is left and few structure in the lower part and the upper part, which is available to see. Um, After that, this is called the Jama Masjid, also known as Jami Masjid, a very popular mosque in the Syria, which is called the Mosque of Damascus. This building inspired from the same Damascus mosque. The building is situated on the platform in the middle of the city, exactly on the square, and the mosque is called the Jama Masjid. This is the largest mosque in Mandu, with a fine courtyard and multiple hundreds of pillars and the arches. And you can you can see the three big domes and the small domes. This mosque was actually built by Hoshang Shah, but later on it was completed by Muhammad Khilji in 15th century AD. The mosque is having more than 300 pillars and a multiple beautiful arches, which gives a fabulous look of the mosque. And this, all the big and small domes, it's specially built for the echo. Mandu, it's a place which is very popular for their ecosystem, and the mosque is one of the example of a very fine ecosystem. Just behind of the mosque, you can see another structure. This is the masterpiece of India, which is known as Hoshang Shah tomb. Hoshang Shah was the son of Dilawar Khan, which is I already mentioned. He ruled on Mandu for a long. Actually, his father was murdered by someone gave him a poison, and he was very much worried about it, that someone will give me a poison, and once I will die, who will build my mausoleum? So this is the mausoleum. This mausoleum was started by Hushang Shah for his own, but this building, it's one of the first building, you can say, built by the marble stone, more than 200 years before the Taj Mahal. The architect of Taj Mahal uh, pay his visit of Mandu and very much inspired from this building. On the gate of the Hoshang Shah tomb, there's a signature, and a small quote was written by Ahmad Shah Lahori, who visited this place in during his visit in India, and Shah Jahan gave him a permission to visit and collect the, you can say, his you can say the idea to build a Taj Mahal. And that time he came and visited this place. In 1435, Muhammad Khilji completed this building. Hoshang Shah did his expedition toward the north in Madhya Pradesh, near around Bhopal. He destroyed several things, dams and temples. And Hoshangabad is right now a popular town. Uh, still exists on his name, which is right now known as Narmadapuram. So after the Hoshang Shah, this building was completed by the Khilji king. Also, you can see around this building, this is a typically, Islamic architecture, you can say Afghan architecture. Just next to it, you can see a multiple pillar built out of red sandstone. This is called the Dharmashala. Uh, from the beginning, many of travelers' pilgrimage was going on. The travelers and the pilgrims stayed in this Dharamshala. Just behind this building, we have a water tank, which is a place where people can easily relax, wash their self, and stay here. This is called the Reva Kund. Now, another campus, or you can say a group of monument. Rewa Kund, it is situated at the other side, which is about 12 kilometers itself from the Jama Masjid. Rewa Kund, it's a tank dedicated to the river Narmada, which is one of the popular river in Madhya Pradesh. I have a story about it, but before the telling you this story about Rewa Kund, I would like to tell you about Mandu a little bit. That after the Ghiyasuddin Khilji, Nasiruddin Khilji was the next king or the successor of his father. Ghiyasuddin passed away when he was 80-year old. Nasiruddin Khilji built so many different palaces, like Baj Bahadur Palace is one of the example. He actually built that building, and later on, when the Sultan of Gujarat attacked on Mandu, the Khilji dynasty was over, and the Sultan of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah, captured the town. He appointed his one of a minister. His name was Suja Khan. Suja Khan was a man who actually ran the city. Uh, exactly at the same time, several other fights were going on in India. Um, Sher Shah Shuri also captured the town in uh, in 15th and 16th century AD. After that, Hemu was appointed as a governor of Mandu for a short time after the Sher Shah Suri. And later on, when Hemu was appointed as a governor, then the Mughal captured the town. Humayun took control of Mandu. Later on, after the Humayun, Akbar wanted to run the town, and the whole concept of the story, the love story of Rani Rukmati and Baj Bahadur came into the existence in the period of Akbar. So basically, Suja Khan was one of the men who was appointed as a governor of Malwa province, and later on his son Baj Bahadur, who was the last independent Sultan of Malwa, who actually spent his long time in Mandu, ruling the Mandu Fort, or you can say the Mandu Fort on those days. This is one of the palace which was actually built by Nasiruddin Khilji, but later on it was given to the Baj Bahadur. Baj Bahadur was the son of Suja Khan, who actually became the Sultan of Malwa. And Mandu, popularly known as one of the beautiful city, or you can say the city of love in his period, according to other names as well, like you can say the city of joy. It was also popularly known as at the same time between the Ghiyasuddin and the Baj Bahadur. Baj Bahadur was a very young boy who was a fine, you can say, a soldier or a fighter, but he was popularly known for his music because he was a musician. According to one of the stories, says uh, Baj Bahadur once he went for a hunting trip near around the Malwa region, near the Narmada River. It's called Dharampuri. In that forest, he was chasing the deer. Suddenly, he heard a voice coming around, coming from the riverside, and he just actually left his hunting expedition and started chasing the voice of the girl. Suddenly, he spotted a woman sitting near the riverbank, singing so beautifully, and Baz Bahadur was completely fall in love with her voice and her beauty. According to one of the stories, says Rani Rukmati, who was belongs to Dharampuri village near around Mandu, was a very common girl and one of the most beautiful girl on that actually whole 1 century, you can say. Many of beautiful paintings still exist somewhere around the world where people were praising the beauty of Rani Rukmati. And according to the story, Baj Bahadur was completely fallen in love with the beauty and the voice. Baj Bahadur proposed her and convinced her to come to Mandu, but she refused his proposal. Several times he tried to convince her to come to Mandu. That day he realized there was something going on between Rani Rukmati and his Baj Bahadur. Baj Bahadur asked Rani Rukmati that what was the reason behind it? Why didn't you come to my court? Rani Rukmati said, I am the big devotee of the Narmada river and the Shiva. I begin my day to see the Narmada and end my day with to see the Narmada. And Mandu, it's a place which is situated on the hill where you cannot see the Narmada river situated around there. So Raja Baj Bahadur decided to build a pavilion on the top of the hill, which is the highest point of Mandu. And from there, Rani Rukmati can see the Narmada river. And he convinced her to come and see the view first and accept the proposal. She was quite impressed to see that and she accepted the proposal. They started living together peacefully. But as you can see, the stories always goes into the wrong direction sometime, which is the loss again, which is the title of the whole series right now. Mandu was attacked by the army of Mughals, by the Akbar. Akbar appointed his two ministers to attack on the Malwa province because he heard much about Mandu and his beauty, also about the Baj Bahadur and Rupmati love story. Akbar wanted to see Rani Rupmati can come and perform in his court, but they refused several times. Uh, Adam Khan, who led the convoy, came to the Malwa province. There was a battle between the Baj Bahadur and the Alp Khan, also the Gir Muhammad, conducted in the Sarangpur, which is about 100 kilometers from Mandu. Baj Bahadur actually lost the battle. Adam Khan and Gir Muhammad, Pir Muhammad actually, he came to the Malwa. He conquered the fort, and actually, when he captured the whole city, Adam Khan was very much impressed and actually stunned to see the beauty of Rani Rukmati. Akbar convinced him to bring the lady from Malwa to the Delhi court, but he was fallen in love. Adam Khan decided to forcefully take her and convince her to get married. But the story it goes into the wrong way. Adam Khan was not able to force the lady, and Rani Rukmati committed suicide. She had a poison, and the love story ends here. At the same time, when Baj Bahadur got to know because he ran away from the battlefield, he was in Burhanpur. Now, when we talk about Burhanpur in the history of India and according to the geological situation, it is known as the gateway of Deccan. Whoever who ruled in the northern province or the north of India, they actually wanted to capture and control Burhanpur because Burhanpur is one of the important junction to enter in the southern part of India. Like all the sultans, also the same Mughals wanted to control the whole territory and also Mandu and Burhanpur. So that time Baj Bahadur was there. Pir Muhammad attacked on Burhanpur, but he lost his battle and he died in the battle. Uh, Baj Bahadur went into Burhanpur and stayed for long. The local king of the local sultan of Burhanpur helped him, and later on, Akbar got to know the whole story, that how Baj Bahadur left the battlefield and Rani Rukmati committed suicide by the force of Adam Khan. That time, Akbar met uh, Baj Bahadur somewhere in Rajasthan. People call it Nagaur, and he became one of the you can say gem of Akbar's court. And later on, he was appointed again here by the Akbar. But this was the story of Raja Baj Bahadur and Rukmati. This is the Rukmati Pavilion building, which you can see. This was one of the building was built during the Hindu kingdom by the Parmara time. It was an army cantonment area situated exactly on the edge of the Mandu or the Malwa plateau. And later on, Baj Bahadur decided to build the two beautiful kind of a cenotop or on the top of the terrace. You can see, so this is also the symbol of love of Raja Baj Bahadur and Rani Rupmati. Rani Rupmati, every day she came on the terrace to see the Narmada River from this view. According to certain other historians and the other people said it was quite impossible to see Narmada, but this is the story or the folklore gives an idea. You can see Reva Kund is one of the building where which is known as the Narmada Tank, where in the monsoon season, Rani Rukmati believed that the Narmada, the goddess, was appears here, and she did darshan every day and start her day. So this is some of the beautiful building in Mandu. This is another beautiful temple, which you can see it's typically looks like a Islamic or a Mughal architecture building. But as you can see, this building is called Neelkant Temple. The temple is dedicated to the Lord Shiva. According to some of the books, they said this temple were built in 11th century AD, but later on in 16, 15 and 16th century AD, it was reconstructed in a very typical way. You can see a water tank and a very fine spiral design of a water channel system again, which is the finest concept of the Mandu water channel system. Also, the temple found an inscription belongs to 16th century AD by the Mughal period actually. Now, this is a beautiful picture, or you can say a painting belongs to Raja Baj Bahadur and Rani Rupmati, or the Sultan Baj Bahadur, you can say. The story, it's still sings by the local musician in the Malwa region, in the local language. And the story of Rani Rupmati and Baj Bahadur is quite popular in the history book, also in the education system in Madhya Pradesh, also several other places in India. There are several paintings you can find it in the London Museum, where from Mandu, or the attack of Mughals on the Mandu or Rani Rupmati and Baj Bahadur's pictures. Uh, Now, when we talk about other buildings in Mandu, shopping mall concept in India, it's quite popular right now. Every city has a big, beautiful shopping malls where people can easily access and buy several things. Mandu was one of our earliest, you can say, city in India where one of the largest shopping mall were built during the 15th century and the beginning of 16th century AD by the Gada Shah. Gada Shah was a traveler, he was a trader and also a financier who financed the Khilji dynasty in Malwa region. Ghiyasuddin Khilji gave him a permission to build his own beautiful market itself, independent market in Mandu, because while driving from Indore or Dhar to Burhanpur via Maheshwar, Mandu, and the other places, you can see hundreds of sarais, the places where all the traders used to stay there. You can easily find it on the way. So Mandu was one of the town where hundreds of market organized on those days. And that time, Gada Shah, a man from Gujarat, he built his own shopping mall in Mandu. Just next to it, there were two other beautiful building was constructed. This is the right side picture gives you an idea about the finest step well, which is still exists in Mandu, which is called the Ujali, where you can see the light actually. But there was another building which is still exists on those days. It was built, which is called the Andheri Bawdi and the Ujali Bawdi. So these are the two very fine building you can see in Mandu. There are many of other building. I wish I could show you more picture, but I have a few slides to see here as well. Now, Mandu, apart from other stories, love stories, the story of battle, also popular for their fruit and tree. As you can see in the picture, there are two pictures on a screen. Left picture gives you an idea about a tree. You might aware about the tree, which you can easily find it in Africa, Madagascar, and the other places in the world, which is called the baobab tree. You can imagine how come this baobab tree came to Madhya Pradesh from somewhere around the world or the Middle East, you can say. Commonly, in the local language in the Malwa region, people call it Khurasan Imli, which is a tree of a tamarind, you can say. Khurasan is the name of one of the city in Iran somewhere. And people used to say that these trees came from Central Asia by the travelers who brought the seeds or saplings. And right now, Mandu, it's I think I personally believe in Madhya Pradesh and all as well as in India is the only place where you can see the baobab trees. Thousands of baobab trees are still exist there on the way of Mandu inside in the town. Around the monuments, you can see a massive giant trees with the fruits. You can see the fruit at the right hand side, which is called the imli, the tamarind. It is by the local people. It's also for the medicinal use and as well as for the you can say running water. You can say once you are feeling really dry, you can use this fruit, and it's like a mouth watering fruit. Now, these are other beautiful pillar buildings and the arch designs because when you talk about Mandu, all the architecture schools in India, as well as historians, the book writers, and many other people who know about Mandu. Mandu, it's a very fabulous gem city, you can say, which has hundreds of monuments. With all the architecture designs are quite different. As you can see while in this PPT or on a presentation, you can see these are some of the pictures. You can see a fine arch design, pillar designs, and the courtyard or you can say the corridors they built. And now this is another two very fine pictures of the architecture. You can say a hanging balcony of Jala Mahal, which is a typically Hindu style, you can say, or the Rajputana style of a building. And the other picture gives you an idea about the octagonal design, of kind of a flower design in the Mandu. There are many of building which you can see, which gives you an idea about the Egyptian architecture work, a typical Afghan style of architecture work, Also Chinese influence, where you can see in Mandu, because IIM Ahmedabad also very much influenced from the architecture of Mandu, and they use almost similar designs in their campus. Uh, this is another two architecture pictures on the, you can say, terrace of Mandu. The left picture, it's again from the Jahaz Mahal, a very typical style of, you can say, a dome and a sloping canopies, you can say, and also the arch designs. And this is the Taragarh gate, which is the fort wall also, you can see in the picture. So there are multiple hundreds of monuments which you can see around Mandu. Now, this is the last presentation picture of the symbol of love of Mandu, which is the pavilion actually. And I would like to stop my commentary, and thank you so much for giving me time that you can see right now. If
Thank you,
anyone
Ajay Singh.
have a, sorry, if anyone would like to ask me a question, please you can write me on chat box.
So, Ajay Singh, actually, the way you elaborated, it is very vastly explained. So, I think there is no scope for the question to be left. So,
I
I think
understand. I was not actually focusing on time. I'm so sorry. I didn't see that, and it goes much more. So
it's okay. It's okay. You done very well, and you have told many stories. Actually, that is everywhere known, but we were not linking up with this monument. So you told the story from Raja Bhoj. Everybody knows about Raja Bhoj, but we did not know that this story is of Mandu and the Allah Udal. I have my childhood listening these songs of Allah Udal in Bihar and UP, and
yes,
that
very
is
true.
related to Mandu. I think how the history and culture has all amalgamated together now after knowing this story, the way you narrated. You have shown the old map of the city. That is really a history that you have preserved. And this place has 48 ASI monuments. That is a great achievement, and this itself is a historical place.
Yes,
The
sir.
Jal
Yes, sir.
Mahal, you told about this is an underground city. The
There are
marvelous
a
things.
lot to see in Mandu right now. I personally believe it's a beautiful city itself, actually, because in the monsoon, every weekend more than 5 to 10,000 people visit. You can imagine right now in this season. So how this city looks like, you can imagine. And in one day you cannot complete the whole town. I personally believe.
Certainly, seeing
Uh,
of this much monuments and this natural city, natural picturesque of this city, I think this is very marvelous. Now the story you told about this love story of Rani Rupmati and Sultan Baz Bahadur. I think
Ji.
this is a marvelous thing that we can tell to the tourist and to visit this place. This is amazing things that has really treasured in this city of Mandu,
Thank you,
and
sir.
the different architect buildings, the Rani Rupmati Mahal, the Hussain Shah tomb, this Jami Masjid, the tomb of Muhammad Khilji. That is Muhammad Khilji was is still he is buried there. That is actually a great history we have in this city.
Yes, sir.
So overall, this city is a itself is a history, and this is a lucky to we are lucky to have this city within the premises of these mountains and these lakes and Jal Mahal like this, the things and like this. So it is a very beautiful place to see. We can have a very good experience, as well as we can see this architectural designs of, you can say, Hindu period or Hindu mythology related with Raja Bose and this Allah Udal. Actually, when the old people visit these places, they will certainly remember that how these people, they even the so some community in UP and Bihar, they think Allah Uzal as their ancestors, and they
Yes.
sing the song. I think Dr. Ajay Singh might be knowing all these things.
Yes,
So
still the Allah
There
still
actually,
sings in
actually,
the Bundelkhand region.
actually,
yeah.
architectural point of view, even if you see this city,
Mm.
so this is an iconic city. It's a wonderful place to visit. If anyone among us, if we are interested in archaeology and the beautiful medieval period design, so we must visit the Mandu. And Ajay Singh ji
Yes.
presented very well. As
Thank
at
you
the
so
very
much, sir.
beginning, I told that he is expert in this area. So the Ajay Singh ji, our team will come to you and will
Thank
visit
you
this
so much,
city
sir.
along with you.
Madhya Pradesh always welcomes you all. Madhya Pradesh itself, it's a fabulous state in India, which has hundreds of monuments, includes all the things, temples, forts, palaces. You can see all kind of things, Buddhism, Jainism, even though the prehistorical things. I really try, and I always do my level best to promote the state itself, because I am belongs to Madhya Pradesh, and also as well as because it's a part of India. So India is it's completely a rich country with many of historical things. And
Very
I
nice,
would
Ajay Singh.
really thanks everyone that you gave me an opportunity to represent one of the hidden city, you can say, in Madhya Pradesh. And you guys gave me always support to do this
Our
work.
our
So I'm
motto is
very
our
happy.
motto is that our motto is that we want to bring the the lesser known destination to the people, to the visitors, to the travelers. So
Yes,
that's why we are choosing this kind of the hidden treasures.
yes,
So this is
Very,
our motto. This is the motto of the Ministry of Tourism. We want
very
to
true.
bring this destination to the traveler.
Very true, sir.
excellent.
Madhya Pradesh
Excellent.
government, Madhya Pradesh Tourism Department is doing fabulous work, maintaining the area, providing the amenities and the facilities. Even though you can say, uh, transportation services and the other facilities are very fine. Indore is the nearest airport to reach Mandu by plane. By road you can see, easily you can reach Mandu in 2 hours, which is only 100 kilometer. And by the city itself, Bhopal, which is the capital town of Madhya Pradesh, there are multiple facilities available to reach this place. Even
From
though
Bhopal, how much kilometer it is
it's about 290 kilometers, sir. But
from Bhopal?
Mandu, actually, it's a place we have a circuit. Actually,
Is it
we have
connected to train? It is connected to train.
no, sir.
Oh,
Till Indore, you can reach by train,
okay.
but
By
is
Indore.
we have a
Okay.
circuit actually in the Indore region, which is
Hmm.
Indore, Ujjain, Omkareshwar, another Jyotirling. Ujjain, it's also a Jyotirling. Maheshwar, it's a very fine city, similar like Varanasi, or more peaceful place. Also popular for the textile. Mandu itself also comes under the same circuit, which is a historical town. Bagh, it's a place. So there are multiple things to see in 4 5 days actually. But Mandu itself takes 2 days to complete the whole visit actually, and to
Great,
digest
great, great.
the beauty
I
of the
think
town.
Upinder ma'am is still joined us. She joined in between. Ma'am, are you there? Upinder ma'am, are you there with us? She had joined, but I think so now she might have some work, so she might have left. Okay,
Okay.
so it was a very interesting and knowledgeable experience about this Mandu, and we learned a lot, and certainly this type of episodes are going to give a very good exposure to our viewers. In future episode, also we will try to bring such episodes and such to bring out the such hidden treasures, you can say, of India. So
Thank you,
thank you
sir.
all. Thank you, Ajay Singh. Thank you, Dr. Ajay Singh, the president of Tour Guide Association, the team, NEGT, and above all, all the participants who visited, who were there to listen us and to view us on this webinar. I think the numbers are increasing now, so the more numbers should come, and we are trying to gather more people to view and watch. This should reach to each and every person to know about such places. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks to the
Thank you.
technical team.
Yeah, they support me a lot to did this successfully actually.
Thanks. We can log off now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.